Hi, this is Corey, and you're listening to The Read, a Substack on a different kind of podcast company. So, you got handed the podcast folder. A faithful client story set on repeat. It's a new job, perhaps a new role you've recently been promoted to. Beaming with optimism, laptop under one arm, new bag, you deserve, slung over the shoulder. You stride into your first meeting with the leadership team. It runs smoothly. Some faces are familiar, and you know your section of the agenda backwards and forwards. Now, for the AOB, any other business, I find this section is the true test of how efficiently a meeting is run, and often where the heaviest lift is hiding. The boss shuffles some manila folders, glances at her computer, and puts her hand on a packet labeled podcast with a question mark. You ask yourself, is this a going concern? Are we starting a podcast? The boss tilts her head towards you and says, with the same ease one might ask to hold the elevator, "Can you look into this?" The CEO is a big fan of podcasts. You gulp. It's always been hard to say no. All eyes are on you, and it suddenly feels like your first day. With a shrug and feigned enthusiasm, you say, "Sure?" She slides the folder across the conference table and is almost happy to see it go. We've heard this before. Over a decade of producing podcasts for brands, we've heard this story 1,000 times, with no exaggeration. We've become experts at helping executives in your position work through that folder. Okay, now what? You might naturally think the first steps are procuring equipment, maybe watching how-to videos or attending a podcast conference or webinar. After asking colleagues on LinkedIn who they know, scrolling through shady listicles and inscrutable pages of production companies littered with jargon, free reports, and marketing promises, you may end up on the other end of a call with Podfly. Hi, nice to meet you. Our job then, and always, is to listen. Collaborating effectively on any project means fully hearing what you need and reflecting back what you said. My partner is teaching me this. And at 49 years old, I'm still very much working on this skill. What we're hearing. In the past few years, I've been dabbling in Zen Buddhism. I didn't know it, but my therapist informed me. There's a lesson. Rather than eliminating suffering, one can coexist with it peacefully. I like that. It's practical. So you have the folder. It's your job to make it a success. I propose this. Let's make it our job. Let's coexist with the folder. Sometimes the podcast is treated as an afterthought in a brand's media strategy. We propose making a product so compelling, engaging, and inspiring that it becomes the darling of the media mix. Let's simplify the nebulous project and name it. First, a healthy unloading. This isn't really my job. I have my actual work to do. I've heard, "Corey, this is likely the first time and last time you'll speak with me." For what it's worth, it wasn't. 3 years later, we still connect on the podcast folder and how our career is going. I'm hearing, I want to get this podcast on rails so I can focus on my actual job. I agree. While doing that, let's make a podcast that turns some heads at the office. I promise we know how. The podcast is an agenda item. 3 months in, I expect here you've been sent a new meeting agenda, only this time there's a new item titled Podcast Update. You're not scared, you're prepared. We've released the show on all the platforms, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, dozens more. The content team has been getting promo clips for the social media channels. The marketing team wants to write a feature in the following newsletter based on the latest guest appearance. Best of all, the VP was overheard listening to episode 2 in her office last week. It's the first piece of content the company's done in years that's getting noticed, and you're the quiet hero. Everyone at the meeting asked how you did this. Business units are requesting budgets for a show of their own. The CEO asked when she could be a guest. You're holding a folder labeled podcast, no question mark. It contains download statistics, listener metrics, episode topics, guest bookings, a project Gantt, and even a few pitches for season 2 in the works. You kindly hand it across the conference table with a proud smile. You should be proud. Take credit. Sure, we prepped that folder together, but you did the heaviest lift. Hey, thanks again for the hang. I really do appreciate it. If you like what we're saying, you can go to podfly.net, where our team semi-regularly writes up in the insights section. You can subscribe if you want. You don't have to. I just want you to do me a big solid. Just keep doing you.